Hi everyone, bit of a different video today. A little while ago I was approached by a company to see if they could send me some products for me to review on my channel. Now the company is called WISKF and I have to admit I'd never heard of them until they approached me, but they're a company that makes tote bags and pouches, and I think a lot of their products are print on demand, but there's a wide range of bags and fabric products that is available on their website. And so they asked me to choose a couple of things and they've sent me these just to see what I think. Now just from the outset I want to say that I haven't paid for these products, but I also haven't been paid to promote them. So I did receive the products free of charge, but all the views and opinions in this video are my own. So if you head over to their website, you'll see there's a wide range of products. It's fairly easy to use as a website. You get quite a lot of items on the screen at the same time, and you can scroll through, and there are often lots of different variations of each product, so there's definitely something there that you will like. And I selected a couple of tote bags and a couple of pouches, and all the time I was choosing I had in mind the idea of project bags. I often have lots of projects on the go, and I do find it really helpful to contain everything that I'm using for each project in one container. And so I have lots of baskets and bins and boxes all around my craft room, and sometimes they're a little bit cumbersome, and I do like the idea of being able to put everything in a bag and hang it on a hook. So let me show you the things I ordered. The first one I ordered was this abstract tote bag, and I did quite like, in the picture on the website, I did quite like this abstract print, and I had in mind that I might embellish these with a bit of embroidery, and so I thought this one might be an interesting one to stitch on. So to give you an idea of the measurements, it is 42 centimeters by 40, and in inches it is 16 by 15, so it's not quite square, but it's a really decent size, quite roomy. So just looking at the construction of the bag, the fabric is not a natural fibre, it's a sort of plasticized woven fabric, so I think the fabric itself will be fairly robust. I think it would hold up to quite a lot of use, but if you're into natural fibres, this isn't one, so you do need to be aware of that. Now the bag is constructed with just these two stitch seams, and I do note that the handle doesn't have a cross stitch on it, so normally you would see a reinforced attachment of handles. It is just caught in, and some of the stitching is a little bit ropey. I have to say it's not the neatest stitching I've ever seen, so I do worry that this bag wouldn't be able to take a lot of weight, but it would be great as a knitting bag or a bag to contain an embroidery project, a larger hoop for example. So I think, yeah, in terms of construction, it is for lightweight use, I would say, not for anything heavy. Now the thing that I did notice about this particular print is that it is really very pixelated. I'm hoping that you can pick it up on camera. So I really like the design, it's really colourful, but I think because it has been blown up to fit this bag, the image isn't high enough resolution, so you can see it's quite pixelated. Now that might be because of the weave of the fabric, but I think it's probably that it's a low resolution image. So I think when you are choosing products from this site, my personal recommendation would be that you choose a more contained design. So this was the second tote bag that I chose, and I think this one is much more successful. So either this is a high resolution image, or it's just that the design works better, it hasn't been enlarged so much. So again, the handles are just attached with 2 rows of stitch, so I think you would either need to reinforce those or not use this for any heavyweight items like books or shopping. But I really like this design. It's a sort of tree shaped like a heart, and the greens are a lot more vivid than they appear on camera. They're a much more sort of vibrant sap yellow green, and I love the little pops of red with the ladybirds. This design is right up my street, love it. So I really like this one. I also got a couple of zip up pouches because I do think when you're crafting on the go and you want to take things with you when you're travelling, it's really helpful to have a bag that closes. So I chose this pouch. It's sort of like a makeup bag, I suppose, wash bag. So they do have tote bags, but they also have quite a range of zip pouches, and I think the bags are probably print on demand. This one I think is a ready-made item, so it comes in a range of patterns. I actually ordered a green one but it was out of stock, so this one I got. It's got a little ribbon on the zip that is just a little bit of marketing for the maker of the bag, I suppose. It's got just one space inside. There are no little pockets or anything. I suppose you could add in a pocket if you wanted to, but there are no pockets inside, so it's just one void on the inside. But it's got that really cute quilting. You can't beat a bit of quilting, can you? And this one's got a little cherry design on it. It's really roomy. I'm surprised at how big it is. So you could actually probably get an 8-inch hoop in here quite comfortably, and all your sewing supplies. It's a really good medium sized project bag, I suppose. And the last one I got was this small zip pouch. This would make a brilliant pencil case. It's got a sort of waterproof, water resistant fabric on it. Again, it's synthetic. I think this is polyester, and it's a zip up pouch. Again, there are no pockets, but it's got a sort of waterproof lining inside. I really like the fact that both of these bags are fully lined. This one would be great if you are into watercolour. This one would be a great one to take your travel set, your travel palette and your brushes out and about, because it's waterproof and I think it's not going to leak through to the front. So there's a really good range here. I was really quite pleased with what they sent me, and I think there's quite a lot of options there for you to choose from. The only one I have doubts about is this large all over print. I'm not sure the print worked particularly well, but I do approve of the other ones. So I thought we could have a little bit of fun, because if I'm going to buy something like this mass-produced bag, I want to make it my own. So I thought I would add a little bit of stitching to the surface. So just to make it a little bit easier, I'm going to put a hoop in, just so that I'm stretching out the area that I'm working in, just to get me started. And I've selected a range of threads in different weights, in different shades of green. So some of them are 6-stranded, some of them are pearl cotton, some of them are variegated, and I thought we could just play around with some sampler stitches over the design. So I'm not going to show you the whole process, but I'm just going to give you some ideas of the things that I did. So I'm just going to put in some detached chain stitches just over the petals of a flower. This is a variegated thread. It's an anchor pearl cotton size 8. I think this one is a variegated one. So I'm just stitching through this, and I have to say this was an absolute dream to stitch on. It's perfect fabric, particularly if you're new to embroidery, because it's woven. It's actually, you can just about see it there on camera, it's actually got a bit of a grid to it, so you could even cross stitch on this fabric and it would work really well. You could measure out your stitches and the needle goes through it like butter. It's an absolute dream to stitch. So that was my first flower, and I'm just finishing off my threads with a quilter's knot on the back. Now obviously that's going to create a problem on the inside of the bag. We'll come to that later. So there are some sort of sprays on this design, little almost like flicks of paint in some of the spaces, so I thought I would just put in some French knots. I had a bit of trouble with that one because the thread was twisted, but put in some French knots here and there. I also did some fly stitch, just working around the flowers. So basically used the printed design as inspiration and as a bit of a guide for locating my stitching. So I'm doing some fly stitches here on this large green flower, and I just worked them in a circle around the flower centre. And at times, because it's all sort of shades of this sap green, sometimes it was quite difficult to see where each flower began and ended, but it was really fairly straightforward to stitch on, no resistance at all. So that was the original design, and this is my embellished version. And hopefully you saw there as I was turning the bag over that I've reinforced the handles with some backstitch crosses, and I've brought in some red as well just to pick up those little pops of the ladybird. And I've just put in loads of different stitches. So I've got some straight stitch flowers there. I've done different types of fly stitch, some with a long stalk, some very short. I've worked some buttonhole wheels there, just blanket stitch wheels. I've done some canthus stitching in circles, and I've got a couple of spirals. I don't know if you can see that there, but I've just dotted embroidery in shades of green all over the surface of the bag, and I think I've personalised it, I've made it my own, and now no one else is going to have a bag like this, even though it's bought from an online company. So as I was just saying, I've created a problem for myself on the inside of the bag. So what I need to be concerned about now is that when I put things in and out of the bag, I don't want to pull on my stitching and distort it or tear it out or anything like that. So what I'm going to do is turn the bag fully inside out like that and just smooth it out. And I'm going to bring in my ironing pad in a minute, and there we go, as if by magic the ironing pad appeared, and I'm just smoothing it out there just to make sure it's as flat as I can make it. And I've cut myself a piece of iron-on Vilene. Now this is P220, and it's quite a lightweight Vilene, and this is going to cover over the backs of my stitches. So I've just cut a piece that is big enough to cover all of this area that I've stitched, and this is a medium iron Vilene, so it's telling me it's really handy that on the selvage, which is usable, it's not a woven selvage, it tells me what temperature to set my iron to. So I've set it to the 2 dots, the medium, and it tells me on the Vilene that I've got to press for 8 seconds. Now I'm going to start at the centre, so I'm going right to the middle of my design, and what I want to do is use my iron to push out any air pockets and creases from the centre to the outside edge. Now this is totally the wrong iron. Don't come for me in the comments. I should be using a bigger iron, but this is the one that I had handy. But you can see me just working my iron. I'm not actually lifting it off the surface. I'm just pushing out with my iron to the outside edges of my Vilene, and you can kind of see on the video where it's fused and where it isn't, and you can see me just stroking the iron across the surface there, pushing any air pockets out to the outer edge of the Vilene, and that's going to mean that my Vilene is attached really flatly right across the back of my stitching. And I just worked over the bag multiple times so that I made sure that every part of the bag had been pressed for 8 seconds, and that secures my stitching. I then have a really smooth surface on the inside of my bag that isn't going to catch on anything. Now you can use that technique if you embroider on clothes, regardless of what you're embroidering. A bit of eyeling, bit of interfacing works a treat. So fusible interfacing is what you need. So there's my bag. I was actually using it as a project bag while I was stitching on it. I had all the threads that I was using inside it, and I'm really pleased with that. So I've got stitching on one side. I may in the future come back and stitch the other side, but I'm just loving what that's done. So WISKF have kindly given a discount code. I will link their website in the description below, and if you use discount code feather05 off, you will get 5% off your order in total. So I'll put that code in the description, and I will also link in the products that they sent me as well. So if you want your own tree heart bag, then you can go and find it. So I'll put all that in the details below. Hope you've enjoyed that. Be great if you customised your own purchases with a bit of embroidery, and hopefully that's just shown you how easy it is to make something mass produced, completely unique to you. So I hope you found some inspiration there. And yeah, go check out WISKF, have a look at all the products that they sell. Thanks so much for watching, and I will see you in the next video. Bye.